brothers and sisters of the sim racing community. Welcome to Sim Racing Life. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I transformed my rig, pictured here, into this with a top canopy and backdrop. Now, I'm sure some of you are wondering what's the point to this. Well, I can only tell you from my own perspective that it has increased my immersion while sat in my sim rig, because I can no longer see anything above or below my monitors that has the potential to distract me from the road ahead. But also, it looks really cool, and you can hire a lot of wires and leads behind it all as well. So before we get started, let's just go through the things you'll need to make your own canopy. So starting with the biggest item, you'll need to purchase at least 2 A1 size black foam boards from a hobby shop or alike. But don't worry too much, as I'll put links in the video description where you can buy some. Now this stuff, if you've not used it before, is super lightweight, 5mm thick, and is rigid enough that it's not likely to sag or bend. You'll also require a roll of Velcro, some black electrical tape, black Gorilla tape, some blue tack, a Stanley blade, and I highly recommend a metal ruler, but if you don't have one, a plastic one will do just fine if you're careful. So, moving on to our first step, we're going to use the cardboard box that your foam board came in to make a template first, so that we don't waste any of our black board in case of mistakes, etc. But before we start cutting anything out, a little pre-thought about how it will sit on top, and measurements are essential. Now, this is a representation of how my monitors are set out, and as you can see, my side monitors sit slightly back along the side bezels. I then drew a line to represent each panel over the top, and as you can see here, my center screen panel needed to be slightly wider than my side screen panels. So, next I measured the top of the side monitors, then I measured the center monitor's top, but also included the extra to reach the edge of the side monitors, like so. With my important measurements complete, I then cut out the center panel from the cardboard box and also the 2 side panels. But before doing this, I had to decide how far I wanted the canopy to extrude or how high I wished it to go. The easiest way for me was to cut out the center panel with the correct width. Sit in your sim rig and ask a friend to hold your center panel on the top of the monitor at an angle, so that you can see if it's going to be long enough to hide the edge from your normal seated position. Once happy, apply this height measurement to each panel. Next comes the fun part. I suggest putting some blue tack along the edge of the cardboard to help hold it in place while you do the next part. So, imagine this first piece is on the top of your center monitor and lined up perfectly. Next, take one side panel and making sure this is also lined up correctly, angle down both pieces like so until you're happy with how it looks. Then with your spare hand, draw a line along the inside joint. Now remove both panels, cut the side panel along the line just drawn. Now, if both side monitors are at the same angle, and let's face it, they really should be, all you have to do is put the side panel you just cut on top of the other side panel and draw another line to make an exact copy of the first. Now we have our template panels made, lay them on the floor like so, and tape them together with the electrical tape and see if it fits your triple screen setup, like so. Now mine just sat on top, but if you need, I would suggest using a small bit of blue tack to the top of the monitors to hold them in place while you check everything lines up as planned. As long as everything lines up, you're good to begin the next stage. But if not, then you may need to make some adjustments to your template panels. So once you're happy, lay the template panels on top of our black foam board and draw around them with a pen you can see clearly on the black surface. I used a gold pen, but really it's up to you what you use. Now, I'd advise cutting these out with your Stanley blade and a metal ruler. But once cut out, you'll have 3 panels looking similar to these. The next thing I did was to tape around the edge of each panel like so, with the electrical tape, to add some protection to the edges, but also to give it a cleaner look. I then measured the top of one monitor and cut the Velcro strips to that size. Then I peeled back the sticky paper on the Velcro and stuck them to the top of the monitors. Now, the sticky glue that's used will degrade over time due to any heat coming from the monitor, so I used a few drops of super glue to make sure it was going to stay in place, but that's entirely up to you. Once done, I repeated the same process on the bottom edge of your black foam board panels like so. Once I had all the panels completed, I then laid them out on the floor and joined them together with some small bits of electrical tape, after which I lifted my homemade canopy, and while taking great care to line it all up correctly, I pushed it down onto the Velcro strips on the top of the monitor, and hey presto, it worked. Now, you'll probably see some light between the centre and side panels, so this is where I used another strip of Gorilla Tape on the back side to cover them completely. And well, there you have it. You just made your very own sim rig canopy for very little money, and you can now show it off to all your sim racing buddies and make them jealous. Moving on to the backdrop, this was really quite easy, as I just purchased a really wide blackout blind. I punched some holes with a hole cutter along the edge and put in these divots. I then used cable ties to connect the blind to the back of the monitor stand, and that was it really. So there we have it. That's how I increased my immersion and sim rig looks in an afternoon. So now there's nothing to stop you doing the same. Well, that about wraps things up. I would just like to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, why not consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate, pop them in the box below and I'll do my best to answer them. So until the next time, bye bye!